Good morning. Some of you may not know that this week is the week when Unity has the World Day of Prayer. And their affirmation this year is standing in truth. I move from fear to faith. Feel that. Standing in truth, I move from fear to faith. That's the theme. And the World Day of Prayer is September 9 and 10. And you can all participate because we can all participate because it's all online this year on Wednesday and Thursday. So that theme, everybody, standing in truth, I move from fear to faith, is perfect. It's absolutely perfect for these times of extremes and massive global uncertainty that we are moving through. So today is also the perfect time then for us to talk about the superpower of prayer, how to reach the highest dimensions of reality for the deepest healing. In case you're not aware of it, Unity began, excuse me, in the late 1880s as a prayer gathering. The co-founders of Unity, Myrtle and Charles Fillmore, each experienced quite dramatic personal healing through prayer. In other words, through changing their thoughts and words about their reality. For Myrtle, it began with the thought, I am a child of God, therefore I do not inherit illness. Now, she was ravaged with tuberculosis at the time. So imagine when she is saying, I am a child of God, therefore I do not inherit illness. It's not just the inheritance of her family and those she lived among. It's that I don't inherit, she was hearing, I don't inherit the concept of this illness. So with that awesome thought, she began to pray differently. As the Unity website says, she began to speak life-affirming words to her body. And she went on to live a rich, full, healthy, vibrant life. Then, dear ones, as word of the Fillmore's healing began to spread, others wanted to join them in their prayer gatherings. And I believe they invited people into their kitchen, in their home. In 1890, they began a prayer ministry, daily holding in their mind and heart the prayer requests of everyone who contacted them. And these prayer requests started coming in from everywhere. So that ministry grew into what became known as Silent Unity. It's a ministry of prayer that still continues to this day, almost 130 years later. It is active 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And I encourage you, if you haven't already done so, to go to unity.org and learn about the amazing history of its founders and this ministry of prayer that is still touching untold millions of lives. The Unity website says that every prayer request that comes in, for every prayer request that comes in, the ones who are in prayer begin by affirming the truth of God's perfect life and love at work now and for the highest good of all. That statement, I believe, reflects to us the superpower nature of prayer. Listen to it again. God's perfect life and love at work now and for the highest good of all. Let's kind of take that idea apart, this business of prayer being a superpower. So what would make it a superpower? Well, we're going to think of the word super as beyond the normal, and the word power as the ability to influence. So for this little discussion this morning, we will think of the superpower of prayer as the ability to influence something beyond the normal. And I think to understand what really happens to us in prayer, we need to explore the concept of non-locality. I'm fascinated with this concept, I have to admit it. And I think I've shared this quote with you before, and it's from Edgar Mitchell, who was an astronaut on Apollo 14, and he was also the founder of the Institute of Noetic Sciences. And he said, non-locality is the omnipresent and omnidirectional transfer of influence, including thought, emotion, and intention, at the quantum level instantly, simultaneously, and ubiquitously, or in all places, through wave-like and field-like resonance, wherein spatial and temporal factors are inconsequential. Lots of words, isn't it? Okay, so I'm going to take it apart a little bit. First of all, I don't understand anything about wave-like or field-like resonance, maybe just a little bit. But we can all kind of grasp the idea of omnipresence and omnidirectional. It means everywhere present and in all directions, and that there is a transfer of influence at the quantum level, instantly, simultaneously, and in all places. And wherein time and space factors do not matter. Superpower. And then Diane Marie Williams, I just found this quote this week. I really love it. She's the founder and president of the Source of Synergy Foundation. And she says, once we are plugged into the non-local, we are connected with higher dimensional realities and all levels of intelligence. Wow, I can often feel that in my body. That is this plugged inness in prayer to something other than the little time and space that I see with my perception. And then Diane Collins, in her book, Do You Quantum Think, says, our thoughts have a transfer of influence beyond space-time factors. And another person said, everything that happens in this universe affects and informs everything else. That just gets me. Can you hear that? Everything that happens in this universe affects and informs everything else. I think that's why, even if we're not watching the news, not taking in the media, we often feel what's kind of going on in the world. Then Edgar Mitchell also said, non-locality to a physicist is what interconnectedness is to a mystic. They're the same. So what does that look like? Well, what it means is that when someone is praying for us or with us, even at a tremendous distance, and even if we're unaware of their prayers, a transference of communication happens from the oneness of creation. There is an interconnectedness at the level of wholeness at work between us. I remember many years ago being part of a little group of women who would meet and pray. And one day we decided that we would pray we'd get very quiet, and then we would pray together as a group with one intention. And that was the healing of a mutual friend who was at that time very ill in the hospital. Well, this woman reported later, reported back to us that at one point on that same day that we were in prayer for her, she saw light fill her hospital room. And it was a light that had no physical reason for being there. In prayer, we raise our thoughts up from the level of the problem into the higher dimensions of truth. That's what Myrtle Fillmore did. That's what Charles Fillmore did at the beginning. That's what the prayer ministers do at Silent Unity. That's what we do for you at Unity of Indianapolis. We raise our thoughts up above the level of the problem into the higher dimensions of truth. Or as the late futurist Barbara Marx Hubbard said, into the magnetic integrative field of the whole being. Unity teaches us to pray from a level of awareness that everything is already given and all is already whole and well with us. In prayer, we do, as the Course in Miracles direct, we return our mind to peace. Because if I'm not at peace, if we're not at peace, dear ones, we cannot feel that wholeness. We cannot tap in to all those dimensions of reality. We can't tap into the perfection of the divine mind. We're too busy in our tiny little thought of being unwell, our tiny little but all-consuming thought that we have a problem. So how do we do this? Well, this is interesting. We actually lose ourselves in prayer. I wonder if you've ever experienced that. In other words, we let go. We absolutely, even for a moment, just let go of all the need that we think we have. And we just give ourselves over to the oneness that is all and ever present. For instance, I love the affirmation on unity.org website, which says, life is a divine healing stream within my body, mind, and being. Let's look at that. Life is a divine healing stream within my body, mind, and being. Do you feel the all, inclusiveness of that, the all comprehensiveness of that? There's no mention in that affirmation, that affirmative prayer. There is no mention of a specific illness or condition or problematic situation. There is only what we call in Unity a statement of truth. Life, meaning my life, your life, all life. Life is a divine healing stream. You can probably get a visual of a wonderful bubbling stream flowing by. Well, what if that beautiful, bright, life-filled stream is moving within you right now, just as you are, touching every cell, every system, every function of your beautiful body, touching every thought in your mind, touching every emotion, every feeling, touching everything about you. Life is a divine healing stream within my body, mind, and being. So the mindset of prayer then, maybe this is easier for us to comprehend. Although I do like to put in that quantum physics stuff now and then, because it's actually proving what spiritual teachers and spiritual systems have been telling us probably for centuries. Science is proving faith today. So the mindset of prayer then is one of surrender. And we've talked about this before. It's not a helpless giving up, but rather an intentional, devotional, and confident giving over. And what or who exactly do we surrender to? Well, true prayer is a joyous abandonment of all perception of need and a tuning in or turning in to spirit. It is a giving over of ourselves to the fullness, the wholeness, and the completeness of the giver of life that is within us, everywhere with us and as us in this world, now and forever. I'm going to say that again. Prayer is a giving over of ourselves to the fullness, the wholeness, and the completeness of the giver of life. The very life that we are living, the very life that we are breathing. The Course in Miracles says that prayer is the medium of miracles, and that miracles restore the mind to its fullness. It doesn't say anything about conditions. It doesn't say anything about, I need to jump through certain hoops. I need to pray a certain way. It just says prayer. Prayer in any form is the medium of miracles. And a miracle restores the mind to its fullness. See, that's exactly what happened for Myrtle Fillmore. And then as she taught her husband, it's exactly what happened to Charles Fillmore. The miracle of their healing is that their mind was restored to fullness, completeness, perfection. Isn't that lovely? The Course also says that wholeness is the perceptual content of miracles, and that they thus correct the faulty perception of any lack. So to be a miracle worker in this world, we need to pray as if we've already been heard and our prayer has already been answered. We don't even need to say, God, this is me, Louise, and I'd like to tell you about what I'm going through right now because I really need your help. And would you please listen? Nah. That was kind of the prayer of our infancy when we didn't have a higher understanding. Our prayer now can be just the direct line to God's perfection. Just go right to it. And if you want to know what those prayers are like, again, I encourage you to go to unity.org, click on prayer, and it just goes on forever. And they give you one beautiful affirmative prayer after another. And you will feel the fullness, the completeness, the wholeness of your life restored. I invite you just for a moment, dear ones, to join me in meditation. And let's prepare for that meditation. We breathe relax. And if it feels right to you, gently close your eyes. And that's just for the purpose of letting go of all outer distractions. And today we suggest to our mind that we are perfectly safe and at rest, at home in the mind of God. Breathe it in. In the space between one breath and another, in that present moment, we are beyond time and space, even as we may still perceive ourselves in a specific time and space. But in that quiet within, we are beyond it. And in this holy spaciousness then today, we open our mind and heart to the infinite, to the divine, to the oneness and completeness of God, here, now. In this oneness, we are connected in perfect unity with all beings, with ourselves, with all life, in all dimensions, here, now, and for all time. So today's meditative prayer is adapted from one that was given by the late Wayne Dyer. If it feels right to you, let my words become yours. I know that I am pure spirit, that I always have been pure spirit, that I always will be pure spirit. There is inside me a place of confidence and quietness and serenity, where all things are known and understood. This is the universal mind, God, of which I am a part, and which responds to me as I ask for it in prayer. The universal mind of which I am a part knows the answer to all of my problems. And even now, the answers are speeding their way to me. I need never struggle for them. I needn't worry or strive for them. The answers are within me, and when I am ready, I have them. So now I give my problems, my worries, my fears, my uncertainties to the great mind of God. I let them go, confident that the correct answers will return to me as they are needed. I surrender to Spirit all need to strain for anything in my life. For I am now and always in the oneness, where all things are working together for the good of all. I rest in this peace. I rest in this truth. Amen. Namaste.